Well, good Tuesday morning to you, and thanks for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. Just in this morning, we did get new details about the funerals of Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. The couple will lie in state at the Capitol this Friday, and they'll be joined by their golden retriever, Gilbert. The Capitol Rotunda will be open to the public to pay their respects from noon until 5 p.m. A private funeral will take place on Saturday and will be live streamed. Developing right now, an East Bethel City Council member is responding to backlash for a comment that she made on social media following the killings of the Hortmans. City Council member Suzanne Urkel addressed a packed room last night after writing from her personal Facebook page, "It's a warning to all Democrats, toe the line or else."
Unfortunately, my message did not come across as I intended. My intention was not to stir any discourse or fear or suspicion, but to express concern for public safety.
Some neighbors expressed their frustrations with Urkel's comment, saying it was dangerous and inflammatory. Others showed up to support her, saying that the backlash she's facing is unwarranted. In an email to KARE 11, the city administrator says Urkel's entitled to her First Amendment rights and was not representing the city in any official capacity. New this morning, Minnesota nurses are ready to go on strike. The Minnesota Nurses Association announcing the results of their strike authorization vote, saying that they're fighting for safer working conditions and to fight understaffing. So nurses can walk off the job anytime as long as they file a 10-day notice with hospital employers. Minnesota hospitals say their hospital systems have been committed to good faith bargaining throughout these talks. New video in this morning showing the destruction after Iran allegedly violated a ceasefire with Israel just hours after it went into effect. Iran officials say this attack did not come from them, but you can see buildings destroyed and cars damaged by a missile strike in the city of Beersheba today. Israel forces say it will respond with force. Now, the revamped fighting just hours after Iran rained down missiles over Qatar at a U.S. military base, forcing the U.S. further into conflict. NBC's Alice Barr has more details from Washington this morning.
Hi there. In a rapid series of events this morning, the ceasefire between Israel and Iran looked to be veering off course. But President Trump now says it's back in effect and that Israel will not carry out a planned attack on Iran. A ceasefire between Israel and Iran appearing to unravel almost as soon as it began in the early morning hours. Israel accusing Iran of violating it by launching missiles and promising to respond forcefully with powerful strikes against regime targets in the heart of Tehran. Iran denied violating the truce, accusing Israel of being at fault in a possible discrepancy over the timing of the ceasefire's start.
These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous.
President Trump initially announced the pause in fighting was in effect, urging against violations, with Israel and Iran both agreeing following a wave of Iranian attacks that killed at least 3 people in southern Israel. A senior White House official said the attempted ceasefire came together after Iran signaled it no longer wanted to fight, and President Trump told Israel's prime minister no more war. The president reached out to Qatar to speak with Iran, according to a source familiar with the talks, with Vice President Vance helping coordinate.
For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace.
The rapid developments come after Iran fired missiles at U.S. troops in Qatar Monday in retaliation for U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. The president saying the U.S. expected and countered what he called Iran's very weak response and that no Americans were harmed. Trump administration officials pressing Iran not to try to rebuild its nuclear program amid reports the White House disputes that Iran may have moved some equipment and uranium from its nuclear sites before the U.S. strikes. The developments in the Middle East will take center stage among global allies as President Trump heads to the NATO summit in the Netherlands today. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Now, despite the ceasefire, officials here at home are still guarding against possible retaliation. Governor Tim Walz says that he's directed public safety teams to be on heightened alert, although there's no known threats here currently. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security says it's bracing for possible cyber attacks with pro-Iran hackers potentially targeting U.S. networks. Officials say the conflict could push extremists to go after sites tied to the U.S. government or even those seen as pro-Israel or Jewish. And we talked about security with the Jewish Community Relations Council of both Minnesota and the Dakotas.
We take it very seriously, as we hope all Minnesotans would. That said, encourage people, come to the synagogues, come to the schools, come to the agencies, because we want warm and welcoming institutions.
The U.S. Department of State has issued a worldwide caution security alert asking all U.S. citizens to be more cautious when traveling abroad. Federal investigators have tied the guns used in 2 high-profile child deaths in 2021, the same man accused of buying both. 26-year-old Will Burton faces federal charges for straw gun purchases. The criminal complaint says he bought 43 handguns in a 9-month span between 2019 and 2020. One of those guns, according to the complaint, was later used in the shooting that killed 9-year-old Trinity Otteson Smith. Another weapon he purchased was allegedly used in the shooting that killed 6-year-old Anaya Allen. Anaya's grandfather, KG Wilson, says that this is the first major development in the investigation he's heard in years.
And I believe that this is a moment right here for me to say to others who may be doing the same thing or thinking about doing the same thing, that the outcome may not just be a paycheck. It may be hurting families, destroying families, hurting communities, and maybe even shooting or killing innocent children.
Burton isn't suspected, of being involved in either of those shootings, and court papers don't provide any insight into who he sold the guns to. 10-year-old LaDavion Garrett Jr. was also shot within weeks of Anaya and Trinity, but he survived with a bullet in his head. We checked in with his grandma, who's raising him. She says he still can't walk or talk. She's praying these developments could lead to a break in his case as well. This morning, Minneapolis police are looking for several people involved in a shooting that killed an 11-year-old boy in broad daylight. This all happened at Folwell Park on Minneapolis' north side at around 2 yesterday afternoon. Police say they found the boy just a few blocks away when a Good Samaritan flagged down an officer. Our Jennifer Hoff spoke with that man about what happened.
When the weather warms up, tempers can too.
Man, back when I was a kid, it was hide and go see or something like that, you know.
Community activists know the violence all too well that broke out in broad daylight in Minneapolis' Folwell Park, not far from where Troy Young lives.
2 blocks over.
When a day on the porch with his dog turned into a rescue mission from the of his truck.
I saw the kid. I told him to jump in. They sat right here. The victim's head fell right here where the blood is, and we just took off going to the hospital.
Minneapolis police say an 11-year-old boy was shot, and only that it was related to several cars driving across the grass here. The victim's brother flagging down Young.
Traffic laws didn't matter. It's getting that kid from A to B as fast as you can.
Heading to the hospital, he took a detour when he happened to see a police officer who, despite doing CPR, announced the boy had died with Young by his side.
You don't know how to really comprehend it, but you know when somebody takes their last breath, and I can only imagine what his family members are going through, and I just want them to know that I tried my best I could to save him.
A life lost too soon, leaving others to struggle with solutions as the summer heat is here to stay.
These kids, I don't know, man. It's not only in Minnesota, it's all over the world.
Incredibly sad. The police chief would not confirm yet if the boy was targeted or caught in crossfire, only saying there's at least one shooter, but there were more people at the park who all saw this unfold. He's asking anyone with more information to come forward. This morning, we learned a beloved Metro Transit police officer who worked on a special homeless outreach team died suddenly while off duty on White Bear Lake over the weekend. According to the Washington County Sheriff, Beverly Rodriguez fell into the water on the east side of the lake Sunday afternoon and did not resurface. In 2023, Carol Evan followed Sergeant Rodriguez to see the work that she did as part of Metro Transit's Homeless Action Team. She was also a longtime member of the National Latino Peace Officers Association.
That's her. She was the same person in uniform and in plain clothes. She was the person that will go the extra mile if she saw somebody that needed something.
In a statement, Metro Transit Police say that Sergeant Rodriguez's legacy will continue to live on through the work they do. The National Latino Peace Officers Association has set up an online memorial for her family, and you can find a link on our website at KARE11.com. Another major story this morning, a new chapter is beginning for the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Lynx. Today, the NBA Board of Governors is expected to approve the sale of the team to both Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez. Audrey Russo is at Target Center with what comes next.
If everything goes the way we expect it to, this is going to be a new chapter for both the Minnesota Lynx and the Timberwolves. 23 out of 30 members of the NBA Board of Governors need to vote to approve this sale, and then if it were to go through, it would close later this week. Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lore have been after this day since 2021. Things hit a snag over a year ago when Glenn Taylor tried to cancel the sale. In February, arbitrators ruled in favor of Lore and Rodriguez. After that decision, the pair released a statement saying they looked forward to turning their attention to winning championships in Minnesota. That appears to signal their intent to keep the teams here in the Twin Cities. Now, Glenn Taylor released a statement in the last 24 hours in the Star Tribune, which he also owns, thanking Minnesota for such a long run, calling it an honor. Lore and Rodriguez are inheriting a powerhouse through half of their purchase, as the Lynx currently have the best record in the WNBA. Back to you.
We'll have to wait and see what happens. All right, stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.